If the person that is able to successfully reach your vision is essentially somebody else, then you got an identity gap to close here. Hi there, I'm Anne-Katrin, and I'm occasionally awake. I'm here to help you inspire your awakenings, heal yourself, and reawaken your life. Welcome and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm gonna talk about the problem with chasing the next best version of yourself. See, there's a problem with some of our spiritual and personal development vocabulary. Some of the words that are regularly used in the spiritual and personal development field can keep people reaching for an ideal outside of themselves. Even when it comes to their own identity, even when it comes to who they are, who they want to be. You've possibly heard of that who. It is also referred to as yourself 2.0, the next best version of yourself. Your future self, your higher self, the highest expression of you, the version of you that already accomplished X. Your other self, your other, that which you are currently not. Not who you are right here, right now, but who you're striving to be, who you hope to become. The version of you that's improved, healthier, fitter, more successful, richer, carefree, more loved, braver, just kinda different. Still you, but without the baggage, without the patterns, without the old belief systems, without the limitations, without the past experiences of failure, of self-doubt, of shame, of fear. That version some people strive so hard to become. The version of you that's free, that's not held back by the invisible ties of the past. And that's exactly where the problem lies. If the person that is able to successfully reach your vision is essentially somebody else, then you got an identity gap to close here. Here's the problem with othering your own desired self-expression. It keeps the goal out of reach because what you are actually working towards is the opposite of what you are experiencing right now. So what you would need to do here is create an entirely different expression of now, to achieve the goals that you believe can only be achieved by that higher, future, different version of self. I've actually caught myself using and repeating some of these words in the past around the next best version of yourself or your future self. Partly because many people resonate with them, and well, I guess sometimes it was simply the easiest way to get my message across. However, I do not want to fall prey to the terminology of spiritual hustling and self-optimization. Considering myself occasionally awake is essentially the opposite of spiritual hustling and self-optimization. It focuses on the imperfect process of experiencing certain awakenings and then leaving those states and being in a more human 3D, sometimes very limited perspective again. Until the next shift in perspective and in perception occurs, until the next awake state occurs, prompting me with the potential to expand beyond who I used to be, prompting me with the potential to integrate an awakening experience once I move back into my human 3D limited perspective. I'm so glad you're here right now, so if you enjoy this, please make sure to like and subscribe to become occasionally awake with me. But why would anybody escape their own identity in the first place? Here are some of the possible reasons. Some people don't want to imagine their current version of self leading the rest of their lives because that version might feel deeply unhappy. That version might feel stuck. It might feel scared. It might feel broken inside, beyond fixing. That version might be dissociated or numbed out emotionally. To many people, that current version of self simply cannot be the version to achieve all of their dreams. Because that version is far from it. The dream's not here. The vision's not here. So what is required to experience that is obviously that which the here and now cannot represent in our experience of self. Hence the identity gap. Here's a great question to ask yourself to help understand the motivation with which you actually approach your spiritual and personal growth. Are you heading towards or are you running from? Are you looking forward to meeting who you are already becoming? Notice I said already becoming, not who you will become one day. Or are you looking away from today's version of yourself, from who you are actually being right here, right now? Whenever you are motivated by running from the parts that keep you stuck, by rejecting the parts about yourself that you believe are repulsive, are limiting, are hindering you, whenever you are motivated by that feeling of not being good enough, you are coming from shadow motivation. If your focus is on all the ways in which you are not good enough to reach that version of yourself you want to reach, if your focus is on what you want to overcome or move away from, you might want to be prompted to overcome that old identity of yourself with coping strategies rather than with creative strategies. What's the difference? Well, here it is. Coping strategies or coping mechanisms are the thoughts we think and the actions we take in order to move us away from that which we no longer want, that which we don't want to look at, often in a form of short-term gratification at the cost of long-term gratification and goal orientation. These strategies often reflect our ingrained default mode of reactivity, meaning we learned and internalized them as usually flawed survival mechanisms. They are triggered by some form of pain or impending pain. For example, the pain of not feeling good enough to finish the sentence as it fits your situation, not good enough to deserve love, not good enough to belong, etc. In short, coping strategies are how we run from pain. Just imagine the route you would run if a tiger was chasing you. Your focus would possibly be to survive by getting away from the tiger as fast as possible. Your focus would likely not be to scan the horizon for the most beautiful destination you'd like to reach on your journey. Oh no. Creative strategies, strategies that create, are the opposite of coping strategies. Rather than focusing on how to get away from that which is unwanted, they are focusing on how to get to that which is preferred instead. They refer to actions and thoughts that are in alignment with our vision, with our desire and our goals. They don't get us there by rejecting the unwanted, but by integrating it into the design and experience of the journey. As the default mode and our familiar coping strategies are activated automatically as a first response to impending stress, it might take some conscious effort initially to consciously recalibrate your focus in the direction you actually want to be walking in. Now, how can we begin to integrate rather than reject those parts that currently might make us wish for a different version of ourselves? Here's the answer. Creative strategies are inspired by our conscious self. Not different self, not future self, not higher or best self. It's the self that's already there. It is there all of the time. You might simply not be tuned into it right now, but we can change that. Here's the answer. Creative strategies are inspired by creative impulses, meaning by those nudges and insights and spontaneous ideas that suddenly pop up out of nowhere and that prompt us to think beyond what we've thought, to act beyond what we've done before, to do things differently, to move beyond our regular range of motion. In short, ideas that are inspired by our conscious self and by our intuition, but that also usually require us to leave our comfort zone and move beyond what's familiar. Where coping strategies avoid intense emotions, creative strategies trigger them. And these emotions are the gateway to the parts that we reject. Rather than avoiding the feelings that spot the potential threat ahead, the threat of acting and thinking beyond ourselves, of risking our old selves, we can choose to sit with them, to look at them, and to acknowledge them for their pure and benevolent intention. And then we can begin to release them through the awareness that the original context in which they were triggered as a security alert are no longer accurate and valid in the here and now. And with this confirmation you give yourself, you are taking the first step to actually taking the leap beyond who you've been and right into yourself. No better self, no future self, no other. Just who you are. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. This video is related to the awakenings to the ego and to the conscious self. If you want more insights on the 4 types of awakenings and how to experience them in your life occasionally, visit me at occasionallyawake.com to inspire your awakenings. Bye.